Welcome to I Finally Get It. We all try to figure out how to overcome problems. Our next guest started to wonder if he was part of the problem when it came to running his business. On this episode, we sit down with Noah Brandon, CEO of Unitech Training Academy. In studio, as always, Dustin Webb, our producer. I'm your host, Jeff Martin. Let's get it. Hey, I want to thank Noah Brandon for coming in today. He's the CEO of Unitech Training Academy. Noah, I'm so glad to have you.
Jeff, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
We like to start off with the moment you said, I finally get it.
I put some thought into this question, and it's tough to come up with one over a course of a career because you're progressively getting it, I would say. But really when it struck me that, man, all these problems that go on day to day from business, or that I contribute and control so many of them because I'm the one in charge. And the aha moment is really, is it me? Am I the one that's contributing to the problems? And how do I need to radically address how I do things? And I think that you go through self-evaluation, you go through reflection, you learn a lot, you seek out education. And one of the big moments for me was, I want to credit it so bad, but I cannot remember where I picked it up. But the lesson stuck with me. And it was, when you look onto people with love instead of fear, the whole world opens up. And I've never heard anything more accurate in my life. When you look into imposter syndrome, when you look into self-doubt and anxiety, nervousness, how you address people is very different than when you just look at them like, hey, I care about you. I love you, in a way that I genuinely care about you. And when you approach people with care instead of fear, the way you communicate completely changes, and people just really like you.
Yeah.
And that's a massive aha moment, because I spent so much time rolling my sleeves up, getting in there, doing direct work, learning, making sure that I'm doing the hard jobs, communicating, just willing people like, hey, this is where you need to go. Really do this. Not trying to be mean, but just, if you don't do this right, it's going to be a problem. We have to do this. We have to do this. And it really was, a lot of it was fear-based.
Correct.
Hoping people would just do their job correctly, working with them, not with bad intentions, but just, I was pressing, and it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so
a lot of it has to do with how we're brought up, if you will, in the work world as well as our lives. And too often we use this carrot and stick kind of thing.
It is.
But it's the sign of a true leader, the one who steps back and realizes, you know what, this is not me. It's not my authentic self. I want to love people and bring them along and guide them, and they'll pay you back.
It does. And it doesn't feel natural when you're doing it either. It feels like you're pressing, feels like you're swimming against the current. And when you finally just take a step back and say, you know what? I genuinely care about you. You're struggling. Talk to me about what's going on.
Yeah.
And really disciplining yourself to listen and then to take action, because you're always saying, I see what you're doing wrong. I see what you're doing wrong. Here, do this, do this, do this. And you're just completely missing communication.
Yeah,
and,
correct.
When I really do dedicate the thought process of, I care about this person, it is a completely different way of approaching it than if you're looking at somebody with aggravation, right? Because I can tell you right now, there are probably two people in your phone. If one person messaged you, you'd probably be like, oh God, you'd roll your eyes, right? Because they drain, right? These are energy vampires. They just suck your energy. And then there are other people that, if they would send you a text message, you'd probably look and you'd smile. These are people that add value. And so, are you somebody who sucks energy or somebody that provides energy? Somebody that gives value or somebody that takes value?
Yep. Because
if you're somebody who's constantly giving value, then you're a valuable person. And people want to do business with valuable people. If you're constantly taking, well, people don't want to do business with you. And that could be your own employees.
Oh, your employees, your own family, your friends. It's just, there are people, I have this philosophy, and call me crazy, but I think it's sort of like the show Winnie the Pooh. You're either a Tigger or a Pooh or an Eeyore or a wise owl. Our personalities are one of those 4 or 5 characters. But you're right. The people that walk into a room and it kind of feels like they're sucking all the energy out of it, it's exhausting. But the people that are, happy and exciting, they add value. So, so well said. But that comes with experience, right?
Yeah.
So you had to have done this for a while to come with this aha light bulb moment.
It comes with a lot of getting your butt kicked. And, if you're paying attention, I think it's really important. A great example is just going to a networking event, right? When you go to a networking event, there are a lot of common traits that are shared with everybody there. You're like, oh, great, I have to meet people. I have to go up. I have to be charismatic. I have to be interesting. There's a lot of anxiety from a lot of people about, just not knowing how to go up and talk to somebody. So if you know that, hey, there are a lot of people in here with anxiety, I'm going to go up to them and I'm going to say, hey, nice to meet you. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you. What's your story? Tell me about yourself.
That's right. Genuinely caring.
Yeah, it's diffusing. And they're excited to talk to you about it, right? And so it's almost like a superpower to be able to go into a room of people that are just nervous, have an agenda, have anxiety, and just to be able to diffuse that, listen to them, build a relationship. But it's working with intentionality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, very good.
Because I'm naturally kind of a standoffish person. But the higher up you get in rank, like if you progress as a manager and you start running companies and you're somebody who has a lot going on and you're standoffish, well, now nobody assumes you're shy. They assume you're a jerk.
You're a jerk. Yeah.
And so you have to work through that, right?
There's an aha moment for you right there.
It's that if you're not responsible with how you interact with people, they're going to very much dislike you. And when they dislike you, they're not going to work well for you or with you or want to see you succeed at all. So it's almost like a necessary skill set to be really engaging. And there are ways you can work through that, but it really comes down to working with intentionality, right? Everything you do has to be intentional. And if you're not great at something, you don't need to make yourself amazing. You need to be able to just understand people and say, hey, they're going through this, and this.
Yep.
I don't need them to buy my product. I don't need them to love what I do. I just want them to be comfortable with me.
Yeah.
And from there we build.
Yeah. Yeah. That is huge. Give me a little background. I really don't know you well. For those people watching or listening, we live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So you're walking all the time.
We see each other walking and stuff. But so tell me kind of where you came from, where you come from, and where'd you grow up and everything.
Well, a little bit of a story here. So I'm originally from North Louisiana.
Okay. God's country.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Bible Belt, and some would say. So we moved down here when I was 9. Kind of a broad overview. My come from somewhat of a broken home.
Okay.
My biological father was abusive, and my mom and I would leave some nights, come back, leave some nights, and one night just got so bad that she said, "Come on, we're getting out of here. We're gone." Right. And so from that moment, we were homeless for quite a while. We were sleeping in the car, couch surfing in some motels some night, and just really bouncing around. And so we finally were able to get something more stable. It was an old mobile home that, had a lot of problems, didn't have functioning heat, for example. We had to open the oven for heat, one of those scenarios. Very, very humble origins, right? Building up. And so from there, we moved around just a lot. We were able to find another mobile home that was better. Then we were able to find an apartment, and it just kind of gradually, I went to 8 different schools before high school. Yeah. Just always bouncing around, trying to move up to the next best spot in life. That was a little more stable, a little more secure, a little better. Man, and I tell you, as a parent now, man, I very much look at that, and I can't imagine how difficult that was for my mom. Right.
I know.
Just being able to be resilient and move through that. And so we did that for a few years. Ended up moving to Lafayette when I was 9, kind of got out of just the toxic environment, which was, just our entire situation.
Yeah.
My mom had a background. She was actually a director of education for a career college in North Louisiana for a while. And she was a LPN before that. So medical background matched with some career education background. Move here, she decides, I'm going to open a medical scrub suit shop. So she does that, and it's where a burger place is now downtown. These new burger places and restaurants. That's where it is now. But while she was there, Lafayette started this new beautification project, and they ripped up the sidewalks and put brick pavers down, which kind of killed a lot of foot traffic for businesses there.
Yeah.
So, she'd take her show on the road. And I was with her putting flyers under windshields. I mean, we were going around. It was really just a family thing, just going through trying to get business to that place. She went to a few schools in the area and said, "Hey, I have this uniform shop. I'd love to tell your students when they're going into medical, come shop here, get your scrubs." They said, "Sure, yeah, you can go talk to them. But you have to wait till the teachers are done." Mm-hmm. So she'd go stand in the back of class and listen to these teachers teach. She's like, "I could do a lot better job than this." Right? Like, not to, I guess, throw shade at anybody else, but she's like, like the quality could be a lot better of what people are learning around here. And this was in the 90s. So she moved the business, and very small, started with one program, and she was admissions, career services, and teacher. She was all of it. And she also had her scrub suit business in there as well. So, like uniforms and technicals. So Unitech was kind of born there, and just gradually built it up. And again, I've worked in this business the entire time along with her, worked it up. First job was yard boy, and literally we just moved and grew this thing. We were able to get accredited in 2003. Which opened up the possibility for our students to get federal grants and loans to finance their education. Yeah. And so we were able to get a lot more students at that point, and we started expanding. So, we opened the West Monroe campus in 2004, and then 2006, we added Homa. Then we added multiple other campuses, and now we have 6 campuses across the state. And in 2021, we launched Unitech Online. And so that services Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So, mom's now retired. She's doing her thing and being a grandma. She has a farm, and she's started doing this thing with Lafayette, it's Bridgepoint Farms, where they have the drive-through lights and, nice. Have all this other stuff. So she's really enjoying that. I'm the CEO, co-own it with her now. Yeah. And, we're trying to expand and do more. And from a personal standpoint, I look at a lot of our accomplishments. I thank my mom so much for just her effort and what she must have gone through, how difficult that was. I've held every position in this company. I wanted to earn it as well, making sure that I have a firm understanding of the operation. I consider a lot of our successes family successes. Again, coming from where we came from, there's really not a lot of people with any kind of academic success. And I was able to get an Ivy League MBA. Again, Brown, right? Yeah. And so for me, that's a family accomplishment. Yeah. Because I wouldn't be able to do that had mom not done what she did. So, I'm really reflective. I'm very filled with gratitude for where I'm at, because I've seen how hard it is, but it also drives me to do the best for our employees and do the best for our students, because I want them to move forward in their life, and I want them to push forward. Just like we broke some generational trauma with me, and I want to be able to do that with others. Yeah, that one, it's a fascinating story, and I appreciate you sharing it. To Unitech, I had no idea it was uniforms and technology. Yeah. I think I knew your mother started it, and you co-own it with her. But watching what y'all have done now and seeing the success and how you lift other people up and get them that training and get them into a career path, it's fascinating now that I know the story. Yeah. And so I appreciate that. Well, no, I appreciate you saying it. I mean, it takes work. It's not the easiest job in the world. We have a lot of students that are on a lower socioeconomic scale, and we have to work with them to develop professional skills, core competencies, not just teaching them how to do their trade or whatever they're going to learn, but how to do it in the field, right? One of our core values in our mission statement is we don't want to train people on how to only get employed. We want to train them how to continue to remain employed. And so, because that's, the way I look at it, I compare it to a coffee shop model, actually, where their model is 1-3-5, where nobody's going to drive across town for a cup of coffee. Most of their core business is going to be within 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles. Yeah. And so you have to make a good cup of coffee, because if you don't have repeat business, you flounder. That's right. And so for us, I kind of take that same model and look at it where if employers hire our students and they're unhappy, they're not coming back. So it's not only about them it's not only about them getting employed. People have to be happy with who they hire. So they come back and say, I want more Unitech graduates. Yeah. And so, that lens, that perspective matters in how you train people. Yeah. Your light bulb moment where you go toward people with love and care, that shines through at Unitech too, doesn't it? Well, I hope. I mean, we try. It's something that I can tell you when people come and they visit, You can walk into a campus and you can feel like, man, it feels good here. There's just this feeling that hits you.
Yeah.
And, we've had campuses in the past where we've had to work through where you walk in, you're like, this feels flat. Something's up. This is not how it should feel at a Unitech campus. And because we have such a good environment, campus to campus, it's a lot easier to kind of weed out when you walk in and it feels flat. Because you're like, something's up. You may not even be expecting it. You just walk in and say, hey, all right.
So what do you do when you feel that? Who do you go to?
Start asking questions, and you discern a lot from the answers that people give you. So it's not just the answers they give, it's how they answer you, right?
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. So, we go to campus management and say, hey, feels off. Talk to me about that.
Yep.
Just see what they say, right? Just talk to me about
right.
it. I'm an active CEO.
Yep.
I'm walking around campus. I'm talking to people. We're talking to students to say, how's your experience going? What's going on? How's it going? Tell me about, how you're enjoying it. You'll learn pretty quick, right? You'll learn pretty quick.
What's going on.
Yeah. I mean, typically the metrics themselves will tell you where to look, but in some cases, the metrics look okay. You go there. I mean, that's why it's good to have a good understanding of the operation you're running, because, again, if you're kind of detached, metrics look good. You go in, you just say, hey to everybody, and then you leave. Well, cool, but that's not great quality control.
That's right.
You have to be able to have a deeper understanding of this operation and know that, hey, things aren't that bad right now. We want to stop there to where we get them back to great.
Yeah, correct.
As opposed to continuing to go to where it's not great.
Yeah.
And I think, again, because we're involved, I have a pretty hefty team. We have 230 employees, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
We have at any given time around 1,100 active students.
That was my next question.
Yeah. So, I mean, we start school with regularity. So we start school for most of our programs every Monday. So we constantly have people graduating too. So it's a seesaw, out and in, right? So you really have to outpace graduation to grow, which, I would say there are seasons where enrollment is spiked, and there are seasons where you just want to kind of maintain.
Yeah.
You try not to drop off too much, right? And so there's always opportunity to improve operation, and that's through retention of students, and that's through continued admissions improvement. But, a lot of times it's going to be a net new. It's going to be we're adding a new program, we're adding new things, and that's where the growth is going to come. And so Mom had a medical background, so we're a lot of allied health programs. I'm diversifying us a bit, not away from allied health, because those are great programs. They do well for us, a lot of need for them in the community, but we want to be where the needs are in the community. Yeah. Right. So as we're trending, there's a lot of IT needs, there's infrastructure needs going through and say, okay, where do we partner best in education? Because we have 4-year colleges all throughout the state. They do a great job. We have community colleges all throughout the state, and they have really come a long way in a short period of time to be able to add quality to the state as far as career and technical education. So for us, we want to be a complement to everything, right? There's not really a competition standpoint as much as there's a lot of need. Louisiana has been 50th in education for a long time. And look, but they're aware of it. And so they've been able to push up. And the past couple of years, they made the jump to 46th, which is not insignificant because other states are trying to improve as well, which means we're leapfrogging some people. This report that's going to come out this year coming up shows Louisiana at 41.
Wow, that's great news.
It is K-12. So they're doing real work at the Department of Education. And I know K-12 is always just a tough topic for people, right? I mean, it's combative, people have different opinions, and it's a messy discussion, right? But we are making real progress through that. And I think that's important. However, that's relatively recent, past several years. So we still have this entire group of high schoolers, recent graduates, people in their 20s, in their 30s, that didn't get the 41st place education. And they need quality training, and they need a lot of remedial skills a lot of times, right? They'll come in, they need to learn how to be a student. And again, this isn't saying that people aren't trying and haven't been trying for a long time. It's just, the students we get need some help. And so in some cases we have between 6 and 9 months to teach them not only a vocation, but to give them a lot of soft skills, give them a lot of training. The lab directors will come in all the time and I'll say, man, I really just need them to show up on time, look professional, not engage with the anxieties of our patients. Because again, people have to go to the dentist, they have to get blood drawn, they have to go to the hospital, doctor's office, whatever. A lot of anxiety with that. And when people are anxious, they're not always the kindest. Sometimes people are like, they're pretty rude. And so if we're training medical professionals and somebody spouts off to them and they engage with that, well, that's not good, right? Not a recipe for success. So teaching a lot of that in a short period of time. So it's really making sure that people understand the professionalism that is required to be in that field. Not necessarily to be a top tier manager, but to be in that field. What's it going to require for you to be successful? Because that's ultimately what we're trying to do here.
And you're teaching that as well. That's amazing. The 4-year colleges system has really gotten expensive.
Yeah.
And, the introduction here in Louisiana of the community college is relatively new for our state. How much has the awareness of the community college, as well as conversations like Mike Rowe, for example, is having, how much is that impacting y'all and just the awareness that a 4-year college is not for everybody?
Well, it's not for everybody, but it can be for a majority of people at the right time in their life, right?
Got it.
So I'm a big proponent of education, big proponent of 4-year college, and you're right. It may not be for everybody when they're 18, and it may not be for everybody in general. But being able to learn a skill, a trade, any kind of vocation, and I use those terms interchangeably. A lot of people think of trades as plumbing, electrical, pipe layer, welding, those kind of things. But there's also just medical, right? Yep. Who's drawing your blood, who's taking your vitals, who's filling your prescription, who's giving you massages, who's doing medical billing and coding, all those things. Those are all really important jobs that drive the economy. And when we're looking for workforce development to go to a certain area, do you have a trained workforce to be able to facilitate their needs? That's a big part of the conversation, and people are really becoming aware of it. There are a lot of relationships that have been strengthened and continued, a lot of agreements that have been made that have really gone to help the student more than the institution, which I think is good. So good example is the University of Louisiana system has an agreement now with the technical and career college system where anybody that has takes an associate degree has just a clear path to continue that forward at the 4-year, right? That's a great thing, right? And so people are really becoming aware, and we're doing good work in that area. For us, we're a big advocate for career education. We're a big advocate for helping you get started on your journey. So for us, we have people that, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to be a medical assistant. That's what I want to do. Cool. We're here for you. We have other people that I want to do this, but then I want to do this, and then I want to do this. I want to move up the ladder.
Yeah.
Great. We're here for that. We have other people that I've done X career forever. I just want to make a pivot, and I want to now do this. I want to make a career change. Great. We're here for you as well. It's really, are you getting started? Are you just getting into what your life stream has been, be it, this is where I want to go, or are you making a pivot?
Yeah.
Right. So we service a lot of different people and where they're at in their journey. And so again, we want to be a complement and add value to the communities we're in with what we're doing. What I would love to see, because I'm also the president of the state association right now, and some of the things I'm going to be working on are how do we work with the community and technical college system? Is there a pathway for us to where, if you're an accredited institution like we are, which means the Department of Education approves an agency that oversees our operation. If somebody gets a diploma and a certification from one of our schools that's accredited, can we then leverage that to transfer to a community college to take their gen eds, in which they can get their associate degree? And does that then help them in their pipeline to get to a 4-year? So
that's fascinating.
Yeah. And so it's partnerships. It's working through the red tape because, look, higher ed and any level of higher ed, it's been a very competitive, very kind of siloed industry for a while because there's only so much money to give, right? Yep. And so everybody is always trying to make sure they have the funds needed to operate. And so you get in there and you just relationship build. You talk about the value. If I'm coming into these conversations, and again, I have imposter syndrome because I am a family-owned vocational school, and I am in conversations with people that are, let's say chancellors of community colleges or presidents of universities. Again, if I'm coming in here with, I don't deserve to be at this table mentality, I'm not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
But if I come in there, and again, I just start from a basic foundation of just getting to know them, letting them know what we do, talking about the value of students, because it's not really about my institution. It's about the students. How can we best help Louisiana move up in this credentialing ladder so that more adults are credentialed and they're providing better lives for their family. And that's where we fit in. And we've seen a lot of success with that because we're approaching it the right way. Again, it's not about us, it's about them.
Yeah. Yep.
And where do we all play in with that? And so if you let your limiting beliefs get in the way, again, this is not just working in your own business. It could be working in the community, but affecting real change, right? Where you might be really qualified to do something and you can contribute a lot to the conversation. But if you don't take the right approach and your perspective is off, you're not only hurting your orbit, you're not really helping to make change that you could make because
sure.
You're not communicating well. I know that sounds very rudimentary, but it's true.
It is true.
And it holds a lot of people back,
a
lot of talented people, because they just don't invest the time in how they can take everything they know and become valuable because we're a relationship society. People want to work with not necessarily just who they like, but who they trust.
Yeah, sure.
Who they know, like who can communicate what they're trying to do, who can back up with facts. Here's what we do. Here are the stats. Here are the things that we're seeing. Here are the opportunity points. And it just takes a lot of effort. It's more than just knowing it.
Yeah. And the one theme that I keep hearing, you said this early in the conversation, it's intentionality. And if you look at everything you've talked about, it's really kind of based in intentionality. And I appreciate that lesson.
Well, you have to be intentional with what you do because otherwise, I tell people this all the time. If you show up to work just working hard and hoping good things happen, you're going to be stuck in this hamster wheel because you have to be intentional with where you're going, how you're trying to get there. Once you hit an obstacle, because you're going to hit an obstacle, how forward thinking are you to be able to see it coming? Because if it's going to knock you off, you're going to be stuck there, right? Like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right?
Until they get punched.
And so, are you able to get back on track or,
right.
Are you just now just reeling?
That's right.
And so, intentionality is important.
You've taught a lot of lessons. I want to ask you, all your experience in business, do you have a business tip that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Yeah, what I've found to help me out the most, when I've been most successful is when I have, I call it CDH, and that is being courageous. And this is really addressing the things you don't want to address.
Yep.
Like putting it off, hoping that it just goes away, or you just don't really know how to address it. So you just kind of like push it off. Like, no, you got to be courageous and get into all the dirty parts of the operation. Discipline. This is the biggest one where a lot of times we'll have a foundational operation. Things will be going very well. And then we'll just kind of abandon the things that got us to where we were and we'll start addressing new things. And then, the bottom falls out because we have not been consistent with the things that got us to where we're at. And so we have to remain disciplined on making sure the KPIs are being done, making sure that the day-to-day work is being done. And so it's not okay, this is settled and now we can concentrate on this. It's a build. And so being disciplined is really big. And then humility is the last one, where if you mess up, you really need to be able to acknowledge that I didn't do this well and get in there and go fix it. Because if something happened to you, there's not really much you can do about it. If something happened because of you, you can fix that. And so it's really, again, I even have on my board like CDH because you have to make sure you're doing the things people don't want to do, being disciplined with the things that get you to where you're at, and being humble enough to be able to acknowledge that sometimes things might not be going well because you need to improve how you're doing it.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's valuable for anybody. And I appreciate that. So the last question, we always talk about Mother Teresa's quote when she was teaching her nuns. And she always said that you have to leave people better and different than the way you found them. Share with us how you leave people who engage with you different and better.
Again, it goes back to the intentionality of it, of who do we want working for us? We used to say the family environment. We care about you. If you work here, we care about you. We've kind of transitioned from family environment to caring culture, right? That we genuinely care about people. Because family environment has just kind of become a buzz phrase now where nobody really takes it seriously. So for us, we do care about you, which means we're not always going to be uplifting. We're going to say, like, you're not doing this well, and we have to talk about it. But I'm not just going to tell you you're not doing it well. We're going to actually get into it, and we're going to talk about what's not going well. We're going to try to find out why. Like, I want you to feel like you're not just a number here, that we care about you, and we're going to help you get from point A to point B. You have to be involved in the process. You can't just sit back and say, well, they're not doing this for me. They're not doing this for me. No, you have to take accountability for yourself. And we're here to help you in this process. We're going to invest as much into you as you invest into this place because we do care. But that has to be a two-way street. You have to care about what you're doing because it affects our students. They're going into debt. They're sacrificing time. They're pushing the chips all in that this is a place that's going to get me to the next point. And so if you're not responsible with that, I'm not going to be very caring for you. But if you're responsible with that, I'm going to help you all that I can. And we're going to do everything we can to help you be successful. And so for us, it really comes down to what kind of effort are we putting into our people and what kind of effort are our people putting into our students? And so it may not be, I guess, a direct answer, but that is, there are a lot of moving parts to that, right? I mean, that's just a big philosophy that we take a lot of different approaches to try to instill in our people. And we find that that does leave them better off. Even people that leave Unitech are typically really good employees for other people because we take a lot of time and intentionality to train people. We take a lot of time and intentionality to go through the whys so people have a deep understanding of what's going on. And that takes time. It takes a lot of time. And so when you do find yourself with pockets of turnover, it's kind of exhausting because you have to pour so much into people.
Thanks for joining us this week on I Finally Get It. For more information on Noah and what he's got going on, visit our show notes at ifinallygetit.com. For more light bulb moments like this, like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. See you next week when we sit down with Roy Pettifees and he shares the moment he said, I finally get it. Check out the show notes so you learn more about what Noah's up to now at ifinallygetit.com. If you or someone you know owns a business and wants to share your light bulb moments, reach out to us at jeff@ifinallygetit.com.